Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning into this video on conditional probability. So we're looking at finding the probability of conditional events. So conditional means we put a condition on it. So what we're saying is we're going to find the probability that something happens given that something else happens, that last bit being the condition. So let's start with your absolute favorite tool in probability, a Venn diagram. Let's look at this question here. 30 students, 18 play soccer, 10 AFL, 6 neither, and we select a student at random who we know plays AFL. What's the probability that they also play soccer? So this is actually a conditional probability question. So why is that? Well, we're not just finding the probability that someone plays soccer. We're adding the condition that they play AFL. That's the conditional part of this. So what we're actually saying is, what is the probability that they play soccer given that we know they play AFL? So that's what we're finding here, and you already know that this is a Venn diagram question because we're talking about two sets, set of students who play AFL, set of students who play soccer. So we set up our Venn diagram like this. So what I'm going to do is call the sets A and B. So I'm going to let A be the set of students who play soccer and B the set of students who play AFL. So just like we did in previous lessons, we figure out what 10 plus 18 plus 6 is. That's 34. We've overcounted 4, so 4 go in the middle. So there's already 4 in the soccer circle. I need 14 more to make 18. Similarly, I need 6 more in the AFL circle, and then there's 6 who play neither. So what we're actually finding is this: probability of A given B. So this line in the middle means given. We're saying what's the probability that A happens given that we know that B happens. In this particular example, we're saying what's the probability the student plays soccer, A, given that we know that B happens, that we know that they play AFL. So what we're saying in terms of the Venn diagram, because they play AFL, we know we're in this circle. I'm saying that I am selecting a student from within this circle. What's the probability they play soccer? So in this case, the required probability, you can see, there are 10 choices, 4 of whom play soccer. So it's 4 out of 10, 2 out of 5, or 0.4. So to come up with a formula, what I did was I just calculated the number that are in A and B and divided it by the number that are in B. Because what I was saying was, I know I'm in B, so I figure out how many choices I have in the B circle and figure out how many of those choices are also in the A circle. So it turns out I can also write this without numbers as probability of A and B over the probability of B. That formula would work. So in this Venn diagram, the probability of A and B was 4 out of the total 30, and the probability of B was 10 out of 30. And if you put this on your calculator, you get 4 out of 10. You get the same answer. So again, this was probability of A and B. This was the probability of B. So usually the formula is written like this with probabilities, but this one is just as effective and you can use it. So I've figured out the probability that they play soccer given that they play AFL. So I'm going to rub out the bottom and we're going to find the opposite. We're going to find what's the probability they play AFL given that they play soccer. So if I want to find the probability that they play AFL given that they play soccer, I'm finding probability play AFL given that they play soccer. So the formula is very similar to over here. All I need to do is switch the A's and B's around. So I still get probability of A and B on top. Note A and B, B and A are exactly the same thing, but on the bottom goes probability of A. So whichever one comes second in the probability, that goes on the bottom. Here, B came second in the probability. Given B, that goes on the bottom. So now, when I'm finding the probability someone plays AFL given that they played soccer, I'm saying I know I'm in this soccer circle. There are 18 choices, and of those, 4 of them also play AFL. So it's 4 over 18 or 2 over 9. And of course, it wouldn't matter if I said, the probability of both is 4 over 30. The probability of just playing soccer is 18 over 30. I'd still get the same answer of 2 over 9. So hopefully you know a bit more about what this is. Let's go and do some questions. Let's calculate each of these probabilities on the screen. So the first one, we're calculating the probability a card is 5 given red. So according to our formula, it's the probability that both happen over the probability the second one happens. The second one goes on the bottom. So just so you know, you could just as easily use the number formula. You could calculate the number that are 5 or red divided by the number that are red. So the probability that a card is 5 and red, the numerator here. So let's think about it. In a deck of 52, there are 2 red 5s. 5 of hearts, 5 of diamonds. So the numerator is 2 over 52. The probability a card's red is a half. So you can let your calculator do all the work there. You should get 1 over 13. So let's look at the second one. We're just switching around the red and the 5. So what we have here, probability of 5 and red goes on top. Now because the 5 second, it's probability of 5 on the bottom. So we already calculated the numerator. The probability a card is red and 5 is 2 over 52. The probability a card is a 5 is 1 over 13 or 4 over 52. And the answer you get is a half. So that makes sense, right? Because in a deck, if we know it's a 5, we have 4 choices. The 5 of hearts, 5 of diamonds, 5 of spades, 5 of clubs. 4 choices, 2 of them are red, so it's 2 over 4 or a half. So let's go to the next one. The probability a card is hearts given that it's red. So it'll be probability of hearts and red on top over the probability of red. But hang on, for the numerator, if a card is hearts, it's always going to be red. So this is just the probability of hearts, it's a quarter. And then the probability of red, as we said before, is a half. So here we have final probability of a half. Now that makes sense. If I know a card is red, it can either be hearts or diamonds. 50-50 chance hearts, 50-50 chance of diamonds. So let's look at the last one. So the probability that I get an ace of spades given that it's black. So that's the probability I get both over the probability of the second one. So the probability of an ace of spades and black, well, that's similar to what happened in the previous example. That's just the probability that the card is the ace of spades. That probability is 1 over 52. There's 1 ace of spades in the deck. The probability that the card is black is a half. So then I should get 1 over 26. And that makes sense, because in a deck, if I know the card's black, I have 26 choices. There are 26 black cards, and one of them is the ace of spades. So I want to look a little more closely at these results. So let's go back to the first one. The probability a card is 5, given that it's red. So I got the answer of 1 over 13. But note, that's actually exactly what I would have got if I just asked you what's the probability a card is 5. The probability of picking a 5 is 1 over 13. The probability of picking a 5, given that it's red, is 1 over 13. So this red part here didn't really add any information. It didn't change the probability of all. So that should straight away say to you, independence. So I've written the rule down the bottom. If probability of A given B equals probability of A, then A and B are independent events, and that makes sense. What it's saying is this event B doesn't change the probability that A happens. Similarly, if probability of B given A equals probability of B, this event A happening did not affect the probability of B. So in this case, in question 1, because probability of 5 given R, 5 given red, was the same as probability of 5, these are independent events. Picking a 5 and picking a red card are independent. And that's further proved in part 2. The probability of red given 5 is a half. That is the same as the probability of red. The fact that I was told that it is a 5 didn't change the probability that it was red. So these are the same events as in question 1. They are independent events. picking a red card, given that it's a 5, was the same as the probability of picking a 5. So red card and picking a 5 are independent. So this wasn't the case for 3 and 4. The probability of picking a heart is a quarter. The probability of picking a heart, given that I know it's red, is a half. I mean, this makes sense. If I tell you the card is red, it has more chance of being a heart than if it's just a random card, if I don't tell you whether it's red or black. So in this case, probability of hearts given red does not equal the probability that the card is a heart. So these are not independent. Similarly, in the last question, the probability of ace of spades given that it's black was 1 over 26. But the probability of getting the ace of spades is 1 over 52. So because these probabilities aren't equal, probability of ace of spades does not equal the probability of ace of spades given black. They are also not independent events. And they're not independent because they didn't follow this rule down here. All right, now we're just going to do one more slightly challenging worded question. So let's look at this question here. We did a survey at Marist and found 30% of students have blue eyes. Of those blue-eyed students, 40% attained an A in maths. Of the non-blue-eyed students, only 25% attained an A in maths. So if I pick a student at random who I know attained an A in maths, what is the probability that they have blue eyes? So we're going to need to start by defining our variables. So let's let A be the event a student attained an A in maths, and we'll let B be the event that a student had blue eyes, because these are the things that we're talking about, whether they attained an A in maths or whether they have blue eyes. What are we trying to find here? Well, we're trying to find the probability that someone has blue eyes given that they attained an A in maths. Well, I know from the formula that's just the probability of both over the probability of the second one. So A comes second, goes like that. So firstly, I need to find the numerator. What's the probability they have an A in maths and blue eyes? Well, we're told in the question that 40% of the 30% of students have blue eyes and attained an A in maths. So 30% of the students have blue eyes. Of those, 40% attained an A in maths. So we just multiply them together. And then on the bottom, the probability that a student attained an A in maths. Well, that's not obvious what it is. We found that 40% of the 30% with blue eyes attained an A in maths, but we also need to include the 25% of the 70% non-blue-eyed students. So the numerator is just 0.12. That makes sense. That's 12% of the population have blue eyes and attained an A in maths, because it's 40% of 30%, which is 12%. So on the bottom, we get 0.295 or 29.5%. So that's saying that 29.5% of the school attained an A in maths. That includes the 30% of blue-eyed students, 40% of those, and it also includes the 25% of the other 70% who don't have blue eyes. And if you put that on your calculator to 2 decimal places, you get about 0.41. So that is saying if I pick a student at random who I know has attained an A in maths, there's a 41% chance they will have blue eyes. And that's what we'd expect, because there was a higher proportion of students who attained an A who have blue eyes. We'd expect that the answer would be a little more than 30%. All right, so that's all there is to this. I know it's a bit of a complicated topic, so please ask lots of questions if you're struggling. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Have a great day.